We got this girl.
Welcome back to Sur de Luz podcast. I'm Natalia, your host, and today is special. I'm sitting with someone who is both my therapist and now my best friend. Welcome, my best friend, Dereka Ross. Yeah. Dereka, can you please introduce yourself to the people?
Yes, thank you so much, Nathi, for including me in this podcast. It's an honor to be able to support you and to just be able to be with you. Um, I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Maryland. I've been practicing therapy for about 7 years now, and my areas of expertise are in anxiety, depression, trauma-informed care, relationships, critical race theory, all of those are part of my experience, and with a sprinkle of spirituality here and there. And so it's just been an honor to do the work. And yes, great. I'm glad to be here.
And thank you for being here, guys. She's really humble. This woman is amazing. On top of her work that she does with people, she's also an amazing poet. Yes, girl. I'm putting you out there. She's an author. We're going to talk about this later. Yes, girl.
Yes.
And Dereka is someone who I can honestly say has changed my life in so many ways. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is our podcast today, where we're diving into faith, spirit, and therapy and how they can collide to support us, right? And how it can help us in this world because, yo, this world is wild. It really
Yes,
is.
it is.
And I do want to say that we did check in with each other and we talked about boundaries, what's okay to talk about, and we are an open book today, guys. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to talk about how all this collided. And for me, how we met is a perfect example of how faith, spirit, and therapy can work together. And Erica, I want to share a little bit of how we met. That's okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
In 2021, I was going through a really, really hard and dark time. Um, I can go through a list of different things that I went through in just that year alone through COVID. I had lost my grandfather. I almost lost my son. I fractured my spine. I moved out of state. And I was dealing with a lot. And I was dealing with a lot alone. And I remember praying. And I've always said this to you that I prayed. And I remember just saying, God, I need guidance. I need someone who is going to understand where I'm coming from, or at least try to and let me know that I'm not completely crazy for all these things I'm doing. Um, and I heard a wait. It was a wait. And I think it was about a week or two before I start Googling and I find a group and it allowed you to look through the therapist and see it was like a questionnaire, if I'm not mistaken. And then it aligned you with like a list of people. And I was looking through, and I remember that I put in LGBTQ, spiritual, trauma informed, because I knew that I had gotten to a place where I needed to dig deeper. And I had been to therapy so many times in my life, but back when you're on Medicaid, it's not the same. Unfortunately, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, it just wasn't the same. You get someone for a couple months and then they have to go and then you got to start all over. And it's the same thing over and over. So I definitely knew that I wanted to dig in deeper. And I remember I was praying again and I heard, okay, start looking. And I start going through that list and I see your face. And I'm like, okay, let me pray on this. Let me make sure.
Oh,
And I prayed on it and I felt a yes. It was this, okay, this is going to be a connection that not only is going to help you grow, but that you need. And I couldn't explain it. And I remember the first time that we spoke in that first meeting, I was like, girl, you don't understand. I prayed for you. And that was genuine from my heart. I really did because I knew that I was in a space where not only was I coming out of the religious and the cultural, but I was in this place where I truly felt lost. And Dereka, you are an amazing therapist. You got me through so much. And that's why you're here, girl. That's why. But yeah, that led from you being an amazing therapist to moving on into your career and us being able to become friends. And in our friendship, I can't thank you enough for how much growth and patience and for you just always showing up and just, hey, are you okay? You haven't posted in 2 days. Are you all right? But I love that. And I love that about our friendship. You're amazing. And, I want to give you a chance to give your side of our meeting.
Oh my goodness. There's so much to say. I think that when we first started working with each other, like I just saw this really like resilient human. And I was just moved, by just the lessons that I even learned from you. I feel if there's anything valuable that you really taught me in like real time is me to see that I could really learn something from my client in a way where I felt like my mind shifted. Like it's like the paradigm shift that we had talked about. You mentioned it in session, and that stuck with me. And also just your honesty in the space, and it was unapologetic in so many ways. And I was just like, she's just powerful, you know. And so but I also in the back of my mind was like, can you think that we would be really good friends? like,
Seriously. I remember I'd be like, hold on, wait, how are you doing?
cool. And so here we are now. And I think it's easy for me to like extend myself in the ways that I do with you is because you create such a place of safety for me. And when I feel that with my friend, with my bestie, I that means something to me because I don't take best friendship lightly. So yeah, I don't play about you.
Yeah, girl, me either. And that's why, like, I'm so happy we're doing this. We have so much we could talk about, right? But this opportunity right here, and just understanding that there doesn't have to be a separation between your faith and your healing. And it did for me. And when we first met, I don't know if you remember how separate everything felt for me. It was like I was juggling, trying to stay sober, juggling with the chronic pain, juggling with being a mom and trying to get out of toxic relationships and truly just trying to find myself because I was, like I said earlier, I felt so lost that, you know, I at some point I had lost the sight of I need to stop looking at everyone else for answers for my faith, for what I believe in, and look within. And that is something that you taught me. How I used to always say, I'm trying, I'm trying. It
No,
used to be
girl, you doing?
like, and
But
that
that's
is
what
my
it
favorite
started from
quote.
that. But it started from our relationship. That's why when we say it, it's so meaningful because it's not like something I was like, let me go ahead and research and see what this is. It's like, no, like we did this in real time.
We did. And I think a lot of people don't realize that it's possible. I have a lot of conversations with people and it's almost like we're taught to think of all these things separately. We're the way that we're brought up, our culture, our religion, it's all so programmed that when it comes down, it's like you don't connect the dots until you connect the dots. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
it's really important that we open this conversation. I'm going to start with the first question, and it
Okay.
was, what role does faith play in healing for you as a therapist and as a human?
Mm. Therapy, therapy. It is by far my most precious gift. I absolutely love being a therapist And I feel like when I was in ministry before, prior to becoming a therapist, I was just trying to find my place and find my way. And it just felt like I had to provide answers. And I was like, I don't even know the answer.
Mm,
And I knew I wanted to do something in ministry where I was like, if I don't know what the answers are, I don't want to mislead someone. So why don't we figure out the answers in the space together? And what I have found with therapy is time and time again, I see a person that comes into the space lost, feeling stuck, feeling inadequate, imposter syndrome, abuse, like all of these things that you see, and you see how they feel inadequate, and you see how they feel like they don't have the capacity to make it. And what I love about therapy is when this person comes into the space blindly, coming as their self, feeling ever so broken. How courageous is that? Come into the space and they transform into everything they wanted to be and more. And so I'm just, when I see that people that, whether they subscribe to a faith tradition or not, that is an act of faith. It's God led. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And so, like, it's rejuvenating to me that although we may go through things in life that make no sense whatsoever, the God, the universe, the divine, everything that's within us as well is enough
mm,
to get us over and get through anything. And I didn't think that before, but as I'm in this journey, I'm like, it's true. It's real because I've seen it and experienced it with others. So that's the healing. That's doing the work blindly, not knowing how it's going to turn out, giving it one last try. That's it.
I love that. I love that.
Thank
And
you.
it's like, as you're talking, right? You know how my brain works.
I know, girl. Like,
But it's seeing how far you've helped me grow from 2021 until today, sis. It's
mhm.
the work you do and so many like you, work that therapists do is so valuable. I don't think anyone gives you guys the flowers that you deserve the way that you guys deserve it. Because you helped me understand myself. And that's not something that comes easy. It was like, okay. And the more that I learned about, oh, okay, this is what my chronic illness is doing. Oh, look, we're connecting. It was like Sherlock Holmes, right? We're connecting the puzzle pieces, right? And I couldn't have done that without your leadership and your guidance and your experience and your work. So flowers for all of you.
Oh my
And I thank you for
goodness.
that. And I wanted to ask, has faith ever surprised you in your own
Has faith ever surprised me in my what?
healing, in your
In
own
my
journey?
own healing journey. Absolutely. Absolutely. In my own healing journey, just the fact that I can be confident in this space, in this moment, that's an act of my faith and healing. I remember being this shy little girl that never could open my mouth because I was afraid. That's what I remember. And so at times, my anxiety does creep up on me, but it hasn't succeeded because the thing that I was the most afraid of is opening my mouth, and now I do. Whether it is through preaching, whether it is through therapy, whether it is through poetry. you know, I speak, and I know that like it's coming from a place that's bigger than me because I
Mhm.
remember when I didn't have it. So I feel like that's the thing. It's like the thing that you fear the most, it's like that's the thing that God wants to work out for you so that you can heal.
Girl, that's powerful. That is
Girl, it's getting
powerful
deep
and
in here,
woo,
girl.
spit out there. I felt that in my
Our
soul.
neurodivergence.
I love it. That was so beautifully said. It really was. I know I'm silly, but I gotta make you laugh. That was beautifully said. It really was because, and I'm gonna share. We were both nervous before we hit the record button. Things started to go wrong, and I was like, "No, no, wait, stop, wait a minute. We gonna breathe. We got this." But it's true, and I resonate with that because I get nervous too, and I struggled a lot with that blockage. Right? It's a blockage. And whether it be generational, whether it be a chakra misaligned, whether it be whatever anyone wants to call it, a blockage is a blockage.
Mhm.
And it was through therapy that I learned to give myself permission to listen to myself.
Mhm.
And I wasn't crazy. It was just me figuring it out. And what I had already went through was just learning how to survive. And even
Mhm.
after all that, and sitting here today, getting out of survival mode, and all I had was my faith in that spirituality that we're talking about, right?
Having
The ability to sit there with someone who takes the time, one, to not judge you, because honestly, it's a no judgment, no judgment zone, and being able to unmask is the best way I can describe it. For me, growing up Adventist, growing up Latina, growing up autistic, growing up as a mom at a young age, I wore all these different masks. And in therapy, when I was able to unmask, that's when I was able to better connect with my spiritual self because I was able to stop the noise and start to listen, right? So,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Absolutely. I love
And that,
that.
and that's something that I would have never thought I'd be able to do growing up. And as a young single mom of three kids and just trying to find myself, I never thought that I would be able to stop the noise and be like, okay, me, self, what are we doing here?
Right.
And it's okay to heal, giving myself that permission to move forward. And I really feel like that's what it's genuinely about.
Absolutely. It is your God-given right to heal. It
All right,
is.
let's go to question two before we run out of this time. So for me, spirit is a connection, right? Energy,
Mhm.
there's God, archangels, right?
Right.
Spirituality, that connection to something spiritual. How do you see that connection showing up in the healing process? Like, let me give an example. For me, it was listening to that inner voice and feeling that. And when I can
Mhm.
see my clients finally listening to themselves, for me, that's that connection that they didn't have.
That's a really good um that's a really good perspective. I just feel like it's so intricate. It's hard, it's almost inexplicable because I think that it comes from so many different parts, like whether we're talking about just our five basic senses, or now that I'm finding out we have over 21 senses, maybe it's in the balance. Like I learned that some of those senses involve balance and time and body temperature. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's so multifaceted all around us. Like spirit can operate from the inside and permeate inside. It can live in the way in which you said, where it's this God voice or your voice that God is moving through. Like it can be that. It can live in our bodies as far as our organs and certain areas of our bodies that are being impacted by it. Um, it can live in our chakras. Like I believe that too. So I think that's why it's such a beautiful question. Like I feel like I can't adequately um answer it because I feel like spirituality and that connectivity is whatever you find meaning in. And
That
that
is
can
actually
be,
a beautiful answer.
that's what comes to mind. But what a beautiful, and this is why I really appreciate you because you are so deep. You are a deep human. I know that it is the God that is in you, but it's just beautiful to experience in real time. It's like my brain is just like in awe.
I appreciate you. Stop. You gonna make me turn red on this camera.
Yeah.
No, I love you. I love you. And I thank you for that. And it's always encouraging because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking of, well, it's Dereka. I have to come up with good questions. So I appreciate
Oh,
that.
well, absolutely, absolutely,
Well,
absolutely. Wow.
there you go. It's been absolutely wild how much we've been trying to record just this segment. And it really
Yes,
feels, I was saying before we even started recording today that I felt blockages. And again, this is part of what therapy is about, right? Talking about it, figuring it out, recognizing it so that we can move past it. And all these different things in the past would have just like, I would have probably gave up. Like, you know what? Nothing's working, but I keep telling you, we're gonna figure this out.
we really are. We really are.
Really are. Well, thank you for your patience and your help in figuring all this
Absolutely.
out and the good laugh, sis.
Girl,
You
that
know.
part.
That part. Okay, so let's get back to the question because we know that it is this question that is very important. So, as Black and Brown women, we know that faith, spirit, and therapy land differently in our communities. How do you see these three intersecting in our minority communities?
This is such a loaded question, but it's such a necessary one. And I want to start with the scope of therapy because I think that it's the closest to home for me. Okay, so when I think about the structures that we have in place, thinking about therapy being previously informally known as more of a white male dominated field, now a white female um, dominated field. Um, yeah, these are things that are difficult to talk about when it comes to self-care because I have to literally think about the not just the systems that are in play, but I have to it's making me emotional. Give me a second.
Okay, take your time. Yeah, this is.
In all honesty, that question is overwhelming right now with the political climate that we live in. And the more that I read and the more that I study, I kind of feel like James Baldwin when he talked about to be Negro and relatively conscious will leave you in a state of rage most of the time. And I find myself enraged. So I guess that's why this question is hitting home so much. Because what I'm learning is, when I first went into the field, I was told several times that, you know, Black and brown folk don't go to therapy. And of course, within our cultural context, we know that, to a degree that was true. But in
Yeah.
my experience as a therapist, almost all of my clients are Black and brown and Indigenous. I literally, so it's kind of like we're we're dispelling the notion and we are owning our God-given right to be able to heal ourselves, despite the systemic structures that are in place with therapy originally being a white male dominated field and a white female dominated field. We're we're seeing this in real time. And also, if we're talking about the faith aspect, well, when I think about just how in either Black church or when I think about the Santeria and other spiritism and tribal religions, I see how they're so interconnected when it comes to spirit, but how it has become, I don't want to say an institution, but it's become an intricate part of just who we are as a people. And it equips us in ways to be able to prepare for the bullshit that we have to deal with here. We have to be equipped when it comes to what it means to have faith. We have to be equipped and very much so aware of the intricate parts of our spirit. We have to be aware of all of that. And I feel like with what I'm learning in somatic work is that even in shame, which shame by definition is kind of like this a feeling of deep humiliation, even in shame, I'm learning that it is a valuable part of the human experience because it gives us the opportunity to reflect, to evaluate, and it gives us the opportunity to pause, which is so important because as Black and Brown folk, we know that we always got to keep going. We don't know what it means to stop. So, yes, it's almost like I'm giving you this thing that feels like a curse, but really is a gift to be able to build your resilience. I'll give you this shame so that you can pause for a moment, so that you can see what you're made of for a moment. Those are things that I see moving in our communities. And we're talking about real shit. We're talking about racism because it's a
Girl,
real thing. We're
it's
talking about it.
it's so real. Let me tell you, the other day, I'm sitting with my beautiful wife. We're just watching YouTube, hanging out, and a commercial. So I'm gonna say a commercial comes on for immigration, and my mouth dropped open. I could not. mm,
Mm,
I could not believe what I was seeing. I could not believe how I felt. I mean, I could not speak. Angie grabbed me and said, "You need to take a break. We'll lay down. We'll meditate." Because she could feel how it affected me. And I came and I cried and I processed and I got scared and then I got unscared. Because this is all, like you said, it's part of growth. And if what I'm trying to do is advocate for my people, then I need to feel this in order to feel that same anger that you're talking about. And as you
absolutely.
were talking about how you felt in that anger, and I love the way you define words, I remember a conversation you and I had. I was really angry. And I kept saying, "I'm angry." And you taught me that anger is not always a bad thing. Could you share that?
Absolutely. I would love to. So, and I want you to know this is another instance in the experience where I looked up the word angry for the first time. It's easy for us to use it regularly, right?
Right.
But, you know, but we don't think about it, when it comes to how that definition plays inside of ourselves. So I always say number one favorite emotion is love, but after love, it's anger. Because anger is the emotion that speaks to injustice. It's the thing that tells you that something is not right or it's not fair or makes you feel a way, you know? So I want to normalize that. And I don't ever want people to, it's almost like our intuition. It's that voice that says, you really gonna talk? You gonna take that? Almost like the instigator, right? But in the best way to be able to say that, no, like I'm going to speak for myself, or no, I'm going to speak against this. And that's powerful. And it
It is.
needs to be used and used often. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be reactive with it. We can be able to express ourselves with our mouths.
Righteous,
You
that
know?
righteous anger.
Yeah, the righteous anger, that justified anger. Absolutely.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I'm here for
Thank
it.
you. Thank you for sharing that because just I remember that conversation and I've held it close to my heart for a long time because growing up, anger was something to be ashamed of. You're not supposed to be angry. You're not supposed to feel this way. You're not supposed to feel your feelings. You're supposed to push and serve everyone else. And, you know, a lot of the things that are normal feelings are thought of as sin. And when I learned this, that anger is just my inner voice saying, hey, that's not fair. It really helped change a lot of the way that I saw a lot of things. And that night when I sat here and I was thinking about that video, and me, I go and make a post about it or whatever, because that's how I process my emotions.
I love it. I love that.
But, when I felt that anger, I was like, well, whether it's have a conversation like this, fighting a migraine and fighting a flare up. And by the way, as we've been dealing with all this, the migraine is gone. I told you them
It's healing
blockages.
us. It's healing us.
Gotta
It's
go.
what
They
needs
gotta
to be
go.
done.
But sis, I appreciate you and I love you and I thank you for this beautiful conversation. And I'm sure it's gonna be the first of many. Because
Absolutely. I look
I
forward to it.
I absolutely love doing this with you. And now this is the best part. It's my favorite part. Don't get embarrassed. Okay, you ready? Breathe. I want to invite you all to check out my girl's beautiful poetry. Okay, no, don't roll your eyes. Okay, you did this. You did this. I ordered her book. As soon as she let it out, I was like, I gotta get it. It is beautiful.
Yes.
It is so beautiful. And you have your letter to Noah in here makes me cry every time I read it.
Thank
My
you.
favorite is taco because I feel it in my heart.
Thank
And
you.
I just, guys, go and get it. Dereka, please promote your book right now. You're on the spotlight. You got the mic.
Oh my God. It made me cry. That is like one of the nicest things and most like moving things that anyone's ever said to me. I appreciate that so much. And yeah, that whole book was a journey. I did it in I guess what between 2018 and to 2022 or 2023. And then really didn't, get it all processed until this year. And so yeah, it's my baby. It's very intimate, so that you can get to know me in it. But it also is one that's just about God and about love and about heartbreak, because those are real things, and losses, those are real things. So yeah, it was an honor to write it, and thank you for taking the time to read it.
The name of her book is God is Within Her. And it's 82-page work. Okay, guys, when I tell you this work is emotional, it shows her resilience, it offers clarity, and it is something that I like to pick up as I drink my little coffee in the morning and read here and there. And I'm so proud of you, Dereka. And you guys, you can get her book on Amazon, and I think there's other places you can get it. I know I got mine on Amazon. Where else do you have it?
The address, it's on Amazon.
Hmm.
And it's also on Barnes and Noble, so you can purchase it that way as well from
I
Barnes and
got
Noble.
you. What we'll do is when we post on social media, I will put a direct link to the Amazon account so that people can just go straight there and check it out. I'll make sure I put it so they can copy and paste it, but we're going to promote this beautiful work because my girl, you did a great job and I am so proud of you. I love you.
I
I
love
thank
you
you
too,
for being
girl.
with us. And this, like I said, the first of many. I want to thank everyone who took the time to sit here and be patient with us and have this conversation. I hope that even just this little bit, this hour of us talking, right? Just a couple questions, I feel has been super powerful and super healing. And again, I hope this is the first of many. Guys, reach out to Dereka. We will put all her information down below. This is going to be on YouTube. I'm going to blast it all over social media, girl, because my girl deserves that. I love you guys. Thank you. See you later.